Hi everyone, Cam here, and welcome to my unboxing and overview of the Thermaltake 14-inch RGB LED TT Premium Edition fans. Now, these fans, the pack I've got here, it's the 3-pack edition. You can buy them in single fans, or the 3-pack. Now, they're available in a 12-inch and a 14-inch version. Now, the fans themselves, you can actually connect 3 fans per hub, and a maximum of 16 hubs. You can actually link the hubs together. So if you really wanted, you can connect 16 hubs for a maximum of 48 fans, which are all controlled by the software. Now the fans themselves, the 256 colours, which are controlled by Thermaltake's software, which we'll get into a little bit later. They do have anti-vibration pads on each of the corners, which will reduce that vibration when they're running at high speed. Statistics of the fans themselves. Now they've got a max static pressure of 1.38 millimeters of water, a maximum airflow of 73.91 CFM, and a maximum noise level of 29.4 dB. Now, something to note, the fans do actually come in 3 different versions. There is the standard or the original edition that Thermaltake brought out. The fan colours themselves with that version are controlled, or the colours controlled by buttons on the fan hubs themselves. They then brought out the version that I have here, the Premium Edition. The Premium Edition, slight variations with the statistics of the fans. The major difference being is that the fans you can control through the software, which I mentioned we'll show later on. Then they also have recently brought out the Ring Plus Premium Edition. Now the differences being there is that the Plus Edition, the blades on the fans are 9 blades versus the 11 fans on the Premium Edition. The Plus Edition of the fans are 16.8 million colours versus 256 colours. There's a slight increase in the static pressure with those fans. It's 1.53 millimeters of water versus the 1.38 of the edition that I have. The slightly less flow, maximum airflow at 63.19 with the new ones versus 73.91, and they are slightly quieter. The big difference being is that the cost. So the Premium, or the Plus Edition, the Ring Plus Edition, the new version, they have a recommended retail of $120 US, or about 140 Australian dollars. The edition that I have here, I picked them up for $109 each, which is about 100 US dollars. The standard edition, I think you can pick them up currently on Amazon for about $70 US. And they're the version that's the buttons to control the actual colours. The Premium, both the Premium Plus and the Premium, are controlled through Thermaltake software. So that's it. We'll come in, we'll bring the camera in a little bit closer, and we'll run through what's actually supplied in the box. Okay, so let's get this open and see what's supplied with the box, in the box itself, with the fans. First of all, we've got some various cables here. Have a look at those. Now, the first one being is the actual fan hub controller. So this end plugs into a USB 2 port on the motherboard, and the other is just into the controller itself. It does come with 2, so I believe if you have 2 controllers that are fairly apart from one another, you can use the same cable, but there's 2 different legs of it, so I'll show you that. So as you can see, two lengths. So we have 2 controllers that you're placing at different areas in the actual case. You can spread these apart. If you don't need one of them, just roll it up, hide it somewhere in your case. Pretty straightforward. Next cable is the actual power cable. This plugs into the hub itself. It's just a Molex cable, 4-pin Molex into the actual hub. And the final cable that's supplied is the actual link cable. So if you're connecting multiple hubs together, this is the cable, USB on one side, and just a 4-pin, I think it's a specific Thermaltake plug on the other. And this is out of your first hub, and this goes into the second to link them together, and then that way you can control or match all of the fans connected to all of the hubs simultaneously. Here's the hub itself. Small little hub there. On the right hand side, or on the top, is where you connect your 3 fans. Nothing on this side. On the back side, this is where you connect your power in the middle. I believe this is the link in. So if you're linking this hub onto another, that's where the link in. This is the link out, so USB out into your next hub. They do have some dip switches on the back, so as I mentioned previously, you can connect a maximum of 16 hubs, and this is where you actually set the hub numbering, and then that way within the software you can actually set the individual fans for running off each hub. So you can effectively control each one of those fans individually by setting the dip switches. With that, also within the box, just some various screws. I think there's a total of 16 long screws. I probably would recommend to avoid using these screws, however. If you're mounting the fans to a radiator, I'd probably stick to the ones that are supplied with the radiator if you have been supplied with some. I did try using these on my EK radiators, and I found that they didn't quite tighten or lock correctly. Using the EK screws or supplied screws on the EK radiators was much better. There's also 16 of the smaller screws supplied, so if you're mounting them to just directly to the chassis, and also just some 2 pieces of Velcro, so if you sticking the hub onto your chassis, that's the Velcro you use. Now the fans themselves. Oops. I have previously looked over these. I've mounted some already in my case, and I have to say I'm very impressed with the build quality of them. Seem very robust. The anti-vibration pads, they're fantastic. My current case is pretty noisy, so I'm actually looking forward to firing up the new rig once that's completed, to reduce that noise also with the reduced EFM. Me myself, no fan of stickers on the fan, so easily removed, and I've done that from both sides of the fans. As you can see here, remove the stickers from both sides. It's pretty annoying having fans if they're not quite centered, stickers if they're not quite centered, etc. on the fans spinning around, and it's just, in my opinion, makes for a much cleaner build. So that's the box themselves, or the fans themselves, and what comes in the box. Next thing I'll be doing is firing these things up just on the bench to give you an idea of the colours, and then I'll actually be installing in my new build. I think there's a total of 12 14-inch fans going in my new build. So once I get all those installed, I'll run over that as well. So I'll just get these all connected up, and we'll give you a rundown of the actual software and the fans themselves. So I now have the fan set up. As you can see, the Thermaltake Ring software is on the left of your screen and the fans are on the right. Now the fans are currently on their default setting out of the box, which is the red in colour. What we might do is actually start by running over the software itself and just showing some of the basics of the software, which include the ability to be able to change the colours, set your fan speeds, make some profiles, turn the fans on and off, and there are a couple of other settings in there, including turning on the RGB function so it scrolls through the colours, and there's also a blink function. Now I do have to say the software itself is pretty limited in what it can do. Hopefully Thermaltake will bring out some enhancements to it shortly, but its functionality at the moment is probably sufficient enough to get most users by. Alright, so what we might do is just start with the very basics, and up the top here you can actually see some various buttons to set the performance of the fan, so to speak, the fan speed. Now they're currently sitting in silent mode, which will run the fans at their slowest speed, if I was to click the performance setting, it activates the fan mode here, and that enables you to set the actual RPM of the fan. So silence in its slowest setting, and the performance will ramp the speed up to its fastest setting of 1400 RPM. So I'll put that back to silent because I don't want the fans to actually blow over where they're mounted on the table. Now the other thing in there is the PWM, so if you were to activate that button, it would actually set the fan speed based off the settings in your BIOS, or if you're running some software to set that, your motherboard software. Now the fan colors themselves, that's actually set by the color wheel down here. 256 colors these fans can do. Thermaltake's new version, as I mentioned earlier, can do the 16.8 million colors. 256 colors probably sufficient for most persons. Now to set a color, basically you can just click around the color wheel. As you can see here, the number one fan I've put on the right of your screen. So just clicking the color will actually change the color. Once you're happy with the color that you want, if you're wanting to put it across the other three fans, you can click the copy button here on the right, and it will copy those settings across. The other option that you have here is that you can actually set the brightness of the fan. So for whatever reason, if you're wanting it less bright than it's full, you can certainly put it down. If you want to turn it off completely, it's just the light bulb looking icon here will turn the fan on and off. Now the other options here, blink, pretty obvious, it will blink the fan on and off, and you can actually blink all three fans. So if you wanted to time it correctly, you could actually get all three of them blinking sort of in a line or together, however you chose to set it up. It is a little bit tricky to time them correctly. Hopefully that's an enhancement that Thermaltake can bring out in future software to actually set profiles within the fans, or sort of blinking profiles, so they can blink across in a line or simultaneously, or whatever it may be. It is a bit tricky, as I mentioned, to get them. There we go, there's a bit of a line running there. Not quite perfect, but it's okay. But we'll turn that off for now. Now the other option within the software, as I mentioned, is that you can set various profiles. Now up the top here you can see there's 5 profiles available. I've got them set on different colors. I've got 1 set as red, 2 on the green, 3 on the blue, and 4 just on the purple, and the 5th profile I've actually set on RGB, so it will just basically scroll through the 256 color wheel. Now the one thing to mention that took me a little bit to work out as to how to get it to actually sync correctly is enabling the RGB, and to get all 3 fans running symmetrically or simultaneously together. Now if you just click one, it will start it to scroll through the RGB. If you click the other, it doesn't actually sync to it, and you can see that they're currently on different colors. And if you activate the third, it will also start at a different point. The way that I managed to get them all to working together is what you basically do. Pick a profile, just click the RGB button on all of them and save the profile, and then once you go out of it and go back in, it will actually start all 3 of them at the same place. The other way you can do it is just by simply saving the profile, resets all of the fans to the same place. Now the other couple of things here, as I mentioned, the brightness down there, the blink button, the top left here, that is if you had multiple fans daisy chained together. At the moment I've got this hub where the 3 fans are plugged into it, set with the dip switches as hub number 2. I will be running 4 hubs in my new computer, so once I do so, these 4 will all light up, and I will be able to set profiles for all 4 of those fans. So if I wanted all 4 fans or all 4 hubs and the 3 fans connected to all those 4 hubs all to be red on profile 1, I can go in, set them all, hit profile 1, it will change all of the fans to red. And you can do that for all of the profiles. So that's pretty much it. As I mentioned, there's not a great deal to the software. It's pretty straightforward. It would be nice for some future enhancements, but for now I think it does a fairly good job. It hasn't crashed at all, seems pretty stable. You can set it that it loads up on startup, which is a great thing, because obviously when the system starts up, you're going to want your fans going into those particular settings that you like and have customized for your system. So what we might do here, we'll just let the fans run through the color wheel and then we'll wrap up the video. Alright, thanks for checking out my unboxing and quick overview of the Thermaltake Ring RGB Premium Edition 14-inch fan. Be sure to hit that like or even dislike button below. Certainly hit the subscribe button. Any support you can throw towards the channel will be greatly appreciated. The other thing to quickly mention, stay tuned for a lot of upcoming content over the next few weeks, particularly in regards to the big custom dual loop build that I'm working on, which I've labelled Project Tranquility. Alright, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video.